There it is. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shadow at Night. This is Monday, September the 15th, 2025. And on the show tonight, Parliament resumed today, finally. First time in ages they've been back. And it was very... Did they say anything? There's one thing that happened that might upset you a little bit. It's not even the deficit, which is going to be even larger than we thought it was, but Carney announced that late last week. Friday afternoon when nobody's paying attention, right? That's when you need to be watching for announcements. They try and slip one past the goalie Friday afternoons when all of the corporate newsrooms are working on skeleton staff, and the only entity reporting on anything is the Canadian press, and you know how left-wing / Marxist they are. So every paper will print, including Sun Media, will print what they say, and their titles as well, their headlines, using the expressions like far right, whatnot. And I want to talk about something else today. Something that I really thought long and hard about on the weekend. And I want to throw this on the screen first. You guys know Mark Driscoll. He's a pastor, turned podcaster, turned pastor. Huge following on social media and into the millions. And he speaks a lot about responsibility, especially lately anyway. It's been male responsibility. Men, you have abdicated your responsibility in the family and in society and all of that. And he said something a couple of days ago that really resonated with me, and I want to see if it resonates with you. If your pastor doesn't address the demonic acts that happened this week, referring to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, obviously, he's a coward, not a pastor. Find a Bible-believing, courageous church as soon as possible. We need the gospel and courage now more than ever before. Okay, so that's what I thought about a lot on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I got up and I went to church. And my pastor, he's a young guy. His father died, I'm going to say 3 years ago now. Now, his father, he was anointed. He was a true pastor in every sense of the word, and courageous, brave. One of the only ones in this area that stood against the tyrannical COVID restrictions. Fined thousands of dollars for doing services in the parking lot. So his son is handling things now. He's young, he's inexperienced. He was a youth pastor for years. I would imagine that he was definitely in training all of his life to take the role that he has now, but I just don't believe that he's ready for it. He addressed the congregation for about a minute and a half regarding the evils of what happened last week, not even mentioning Charlie Kirk by name. None of us found any inspiration from that, at least not that I could see. And then he went into a pre-prepared sermon regarding the economy of God. I got up and I walked out. I thought that wasn't good enough. And so we've heard a lot, especially in these past 5 years, about a pandemic of fear. That's why people are so paralyzed. That's why they haven't been able to do anything about anything. But that's not true. It's something else, because we all feel fear. So I'm going to come back and talk more about that in just a second. The Shadow at Night live stream, as always, is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com.
Silver is amazing. It has several natural health benefits, and it's been used for hundreds of years for health and healing. That's the main reason they made silverware from silver. But seriously, this nano silver from Silverceuticals is the best and safest silver you can find. There are hundreds of studies and reports on it. I've read some of the studies myself, and it's mind-blowing. One of the things that sets SilverCeuticals apart is that it washes out of your body in 24 hours. No silver buildup and no turning blue. And it won't even harm the good bacteria your body needs. It's so effective they can use very small concentrations of silver, like 10 and 32 parts per million, and still outperform other silvers that have up to 3,000 parts per million. It's safer and more effective at the same time. It is an incredibly small particle that is small enough to work through your body, but big enough not to fall out of suspension. They infuse it into almost all of their products. It works in facial serums, toothpaste, gels, and even gummies that work to help your immune system.
CanadaNanoSilver.com. Again, that is CanadaNanoSilver.com. Hello, Rita. Rita's watching on X tonight. Rita is an all-access member at ShadowDavis.com, and she is a very prominent member of the Shadow at Night community on Telegram, and you should be too. How come you're not? Become a member tonight. Go ahead and join the community over there. We go deep on a lot of stuff in the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. Hello, Jen and Wayne. Dawn is watching tonight. Hello, Lucette, Sandra, Ellen, Linda. You guys are complaining about it being frozen, but it's not coming from this end. So I would suggest rebooting your computer or whatever device you're watching on, for starters, and also clearing your cache, clearing your history. All right, that seems to work 99 times out of 100. Hello, Michael. Hello, Wanda, and another Michael watching tonight in Crow's Nest Pass, Alberta. Vicky is watching. Hello, Kev, Canada Nano Silver. Scott's watching tonight. Yes, there is a vigil for Charlie Kirk in Winnipeg, Calgary, and Edmonton, and Red Deer had candlelight vigils for Charlie Kirk in the last few days. And in Winnipeg, it's going to be tomorrow night. So I'm not going to be doing a show tomorrow night. What I will be doing is a live stream on as many platforms as I can do it on. I think I'll probably be able to get away with X and Facebook and YouTube and maybe Rumble tomorrow night. This starts at 7:30 at the legislature. So if you're in the Winnipeg area, tomorrow night, 7:30, candlelight vigil in honor and in memory of Charlie Kirk. I have no idea who's behind that, who's putting that on. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to go. I'm going to go and see what happens. I would imagine that there's going to be a couple of Antifas show up, but I think for the most part, not completely, but for the most part, they've calmed down with their rhetoric for the last couple of days because even they have been able to understand how badly it's hurt them. You might get one or two of these guys ride by on skateboards or something and yell, "Back Charlie Kirk!" Don't respond. If you're going to this thing in Winnipeg tomorrow night, don't respond the way they did in Idaho last week by tackling the guy and beating the snot out of him. Don't do that. You know what? The best thing that we could do, we love you. That's it. I am not suggesting for 1 second that we back down in the face of evil. On the contrary, we must push back smartly. And that brings me back to this pandemic of fear that I was talking about before the break. Yes, it's fear. We've got fear since the beginning of COVID. Nothing has been the same since the beginning of COVID. Not even the beginning, before the beginning, the pre-COVID era. December of 2019, January of 2020, when we heard about this mysterious illness coming from China. We saw a video of people just falling dead in the street. Now we know that that was never true. People falling dead in the street in Spain and Italy. Freaked out neighbors, friends, family calling, "Did you see the video?" And it may have put questions in your mind. You may actually have been walking around wondering about doorknobs and elevator buttons. It's possible, and there's nothing to be ashamed of because everybody in those very early stages was feeling it. But you're here today because you've been able to think your way through that. So we all feel fear. Every single one of us feels fear. It's an emotion like love, hate, anything. What is the response to fear? Well, I believe there's a couple of big ones: bravery and cowardice. I would suggest that we may have an epidemic of fear in our country that's spread worldwide, but we have a pandemic of cowardice. Cowardice. I don't know why. I can't figure out why this is. I've always kind of been like this. Somebody tells me there's danger. My first response is to go, where, what, why? And I want to know why. And so I walk in, not blindly. I check my surroundings. I make sure that I'm not going to fall face first on ice or walk into a blazing 500-degree fire, because I'm not stupid either. But I don't back away from it. I don't shy. Yeah, I may get that feeling inside. You know, that feeling that I'm talking about. We all get that. That feeling of fear, contraction in your chest and your stomach, maybe. But what about after that? What do we do with that? Do we go running, hiding, cowering in some corner? Or do we stand up and we say, let's investigate this further. Let's find out what this really is. Let's fight back against this. We can do this. It's easier in a group, absolutely. The other side, they figured this out. They've had this planned out from the beginning. So I submit to you that we have a pandemic of cowardice across this country, and that is what prevents people from actually doing something. We've always, for 5 years now, sat back and wondered, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And I wonder how many people who watch this show and other shows like it don't do anything. Oh, I've tried. I gave up. Oh, I'm busy. I've got more important things to do. I can't be bothered. And you know, before you even say anything in the comments, you guys already know, the ones who do participate, the ones who do support, I'm not talking about you. You know that, so don't get defensive in the comments, because that's not where I'm going with this. And you know that. I'm going for the people right now who could be doing something, but for whatever reason, and I can't think of any other than cowardice, are not doing it. Can you? A good deal of the country has got municipal elections coming up. Manitoba does. Alberta does. I'm not sure about Ontario. Write down in the comments if your province, your municipality has got civic elections coming up. Write it down, please. Let me know. But you know, we have talked about this in the past. We've talked about how the Marxists get a stranglehold on power. And usually it's through the local levels of government first. And the ones who do really well in the local levels, and I'm talking about school trustee, I'm talking about councillors, reeves, mayors, those ones, they'll move up to provincial politics. And if they do well at that, they'll move up to federal politics. And then maybe they'll come back down once they've gathered some experience in Ottawa and maybe try and lead a provincial Marxist party like the Liberals or the NDP or the Greens or whatever. But generally speaking, after time in, they want a chance to win government. So they're going to come back, probably the NDP or the Liberals. But where they start is on school boards. And I was driving through my city yesterday, and I saw all these signs up, and I went, oh, I wonder if that guy's a Marxist. I wonder if that woman is a Marxist. I don't know. I don't know. I suppose I could sit back and take the time to find out, because there's, 14 wards or 16 wards in town? 15, plus a mayor? So I could go through all the candidates, and I probably will over time. But then I thought, no, you know what? I do a national show, international actually, but I concentrate most of my stuff on Canada. And I thought, there's a lot of candidates going to be running this fall in a lot of different places. How many Marxists are going to be trying to get onto a school board or a town or city council? Probably a lot of them, because that's how they do it. So I'm thinking, here's a good job. It would be a volunteer job, obviously. Nobody's going to pay you to do this. But maybe somebody, maybe a group of you guys, and I know that you have made friends here in the comment over the past 5 years, whatever platform you watch on, whether it's Rumble or Facebook or YouTube, whatever. I know that there's a lot of you guys who may actually talk outside of the show, and I think that's great. Maybe you formed a group. I don't know. I don't know. And this goes also for my people in the Shadow at Night community in Telegram. How about somebody goes through all of the candidates' backgrounds in a given province, let's say Alberta. Every candidate in every jurisdiction in that province, and do a background check on each one of these people. Find out what they stand for. Find out where they've worked in the past. Find out what they've said publicly, if anything. And then run it past your people in a group of, say, 6 or 7. What do you think? Is this guy a Marxist? Is he going to try and force this LGBT stuff? Is he going to try and force this climate stuff down our throats? This ICLEI stuff, this UN agenda? Is that what he's going to do? Is that why he's running? Or is he actually a freedom common sense, or she, freedom common sense candidate who is willing to stand up in the face of that evil? Because that's what we need. Now, I know that there have been some coalitions formed, excuse me, across the country, notably in Saskatchewan and Alberta, where they're fighting back against that stuff. But there's a lot of places where they haven't. And we need to know. So that's one thing, and that's just a suggestion. You can do with that what you will. When I ask you guys to share this show, I want to know why you don't. And I'm not going to sit here and point a finger or a pen in your face like I just did. I want to know why you don't. For real. Is it too long? Why? I mean, you're here, you're watching. I think there's about 1,000 of you watching right now. So why aren't there 1,000 shares? Moreover, at the end of every show, usually a couple of days later, I don't really keep close track of this, but I usually see an average of about 11,000, 12,000 views on one platform, maybe 20,000 all across for one show. So how come it doesn't get shared that many times? Is it not important enough that we get this information out? Is it not important enough that we're able to compete with the Marxist corporate media in terms of viewership? Do you think I'm a dick? Like, I could take it, whatever. It doesn't matter. But there's got to be a reason that you don't do it. Think about the power of the share on the social media platforms. That is what makes something viral. And it's not just once. I need you to do this every single time, because the information that I work so hard to gather all day long, I would hate to see go to waste. Instead of 20,000 people sharing it, how about 200,000 people? Why not? This is not me seeking to grow my platform. It's big enough. I don't give a rat's ass about that. I don't care. What I care about is getting the information out. So what's it going to be? Because we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and that one night, more guys shared it than I saw in a long time. And then it stopped the very next day. And I went, oh, I guess they forgot. Do I have to keep reminding them? We're in this together, you guys. And I know that you don't want to hear that expression because it brings back some horrible memories. I get it. But if we're going to go down like this, then Agenda 2030 is as good as implemented. It's game over. Fat lady is warming up. And the same goes for all of the other independents that you follow. It's not about sharing what you had for lunch yesterday. It's time to understand that we are in a war, a spiritual war. And if one person, sees what you post, then you've done your job for the day. Do it again tomorrow. Keep doing it. And I know this sounds like a lecture, and I didn't mean to give one, but this is so very important, this information, that we get this out. And one of the main thrusts of this show, it's an aggregator of information. I find the stuff that I think is important. You use me as a filter. I pick this stuff out from dozens of stories every single day and go, this is the important thing today. This is what we need to focus on today. Is that a psyop? I don't know. I'm going to throw it out there. You guys decide that. I'll try and give you some hints about how to do it, but ultimately it's your decision as to what to believe. You would not believe how many people have sent me videos from different angles of the Charlie Kirk shooting this past weekend. Look at this guy. This is the guy who did it. This guy standing off in the corner over there. Now, I can't tell if that video is AI or if that guy's really holding a gun. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Do I believe the mainstream narrative? Can I prove any other? I only know what I see. It's also okay to spend a few days going over information before making up your mind. You don't have to get it out right now. Be first. Being right is more important. So look at this garbage here. Toronto Today reports anti-immigrant protest chased out of Christie Pitts Park. Anti-immigrant protest. It was a Canada First protest, first of all. We've got video of Joe Anijar, the guy who put it together. We'll put that on in just a second. You know what I find alarming about this kind of thing is that the police who are there to protect our well-being and keep the peace, they know who the agitators are, and they know who the real average Canadians who just want to see their country return are. They know the difference. It's easy to tell. Look at this. Here's one of the Antifas yelling and screaming her face off at Christie Pitts the other day.
Police officers out here right now. Wow.
Fucking stupid jackass! Fucking jackass!
Okay, so that's one of the Antifas getting arrested for a change. He probably got released. We don't know for sure. Probably got released instantly. But look at this one in the orange hat. Look at her conduct.
We're not violent. We're not violent.
Fuck you! Piece of shit!
Be careful, you might get buried where you stand. The finger's not long enough, lady.
Fuck you, fascist! What's your message to people? Die, fascist!
Hey, chill.
One to the neck!
Hey, relax.
Fuck you, too!
Hey, be nice.
Fuck you!
One to the neck, she said. Now, what is that? Is that hate speech? I would say yeah. Is that against the law in Canada? I would say yeah. Is that inciting violence? I would say yep. Did the police arrest her? No. I mean, what do these people have to do to get thrown in jail? It seems like they got to do 10 times worse than we do before the police will even look twice at them.
Be nice. God damn.
Fuck you, fascist piece of shit. Yeah. Fascist piece of goddamn shit.
And the misuse of the word fascist over and over. And that's a whole other show. We'll talk about that in a whole other show and how the media does it as well. But let's just continue on with this nonsense.
Stand behind the cops, you little cunt! Fascist piece of shit! Racist cunt!
You're a fascist piece of shit!
Racist cunt!
Get on your knees!
No, just stay back here, please.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
Back behind our line, please.
Where, sorry?
Behind us.
Can I go this way? Why? Why are they...
Keep people separated.
Okay.
And cops there trying to keep the peace, keep them separated. Okay, so the guy who put this together, and I was talking to some insiders over the weekend as well, and they said, you know, it was pretty disorganized. It was pretty poorly organized, to be honest with you. That could have been one of the reasons that hardly anybody showed up. It could have been one of the reasons that they were outnumbered so badly by the Antifa characters that showed up. Maybe it's because we don't care enough. I don't know. I mean, how many times have you sat back and lamented, boy, I wish we could do that in Canada? What we saw in the UK this past weekend. We're going to show you a video of that in just a second. Here is Joe, the guy who put together the Canada First rally this weekend at Christie Pitts near Toronto.
Here. Stand by. Founder of the Canada First movement.
You organized that.
I sure have.
Right? What are your grievances? What are you asking for?
I feel the unchecked mass immigration to our country. This movement is about putting Canadian people first, putting our country first. For the longest time over the last liberal decade, we've had Justin Trudeau with his open border policies, allowing people from all over the world come to our country unvetted, unchecked. No one knows who they are, which leads to us harboring terrorists in our country. Look at the crime wave across our country. Look at the strain on our health care. All of our hospitals are strained to the max. Try getting a family doctor. Try getting into a walk-in clinic. It's next to impossible. We have people that have to wait 6 months to a year to actually get an appointment in this country. And it's never been like that. So much for free health care, right?
So why do you think this is an immigration?
Because at the end of the day, when you allow millions of people from other countries around the world, it puts strain on our resources. You have people coming here who think of it as a free vacation. It's a vacation. You have resources being given to these people who come here to pretty much allow them to live, allow them to appreciate and bring in or take in the milk and honey that Canada provides. I want to make it clear that this country means the world to me. Our history, our culture, our identity, and that's what this movement is about. It's about Canadians first, putting our people first for a change. That's it, guys.
So why is it important to get people, I mean, clearly there's people who believe what you believe, who agree with what you're saying. Why is it important to gather and to make that a public statement?
Well, I will start with this. We've allowed for the last 2 years Palestinian protests across this country, not just here in Toronto, in Montreal, in Ottawa, in Vancouver, okay? We don't see that. You don't see Canadians counter-protesting them, do you? Anyone? No, you don't. So why is it when a true patriot wants to raise his flag for his country, do we receive this type of, approach from people who don't agree with our views?
What would the message be then to the people who have started this counter-protest? I mean, they have beliefs, there are words being used towards your group. What would you say to them?
Well, first off, I would say to the people who want to, put out slanderous things about me before even checking in with me and saying, hey, look, what is your movement about? Why are you doing this? And today I want to send that message why. I've been transparent with everybody. I'm the type of guy who, when I say something, I mean it. And when I bring out these patriots that you see around me right now, this is to put us in the forefront for a change. We need to. Because 10 years from now, it's already unrecognizable in this country. And I know many people share that same sentiment. It has to stop. I'm not saying no to immigrants. I say we need to slow it down. We need to be more, I guess, careful about who we bring into this country.
Earlier on, someone attacked one of your people here. How do you feel about the other side already attacking you? I see the police already got them, and thank God they analyzed the situation and they got the right person. So how do you feel about the other side already attacking you earlier on?
Well, I'd be lying to you I'd be lying to you to say I'm not tense right now. I'd be lying with, the stuff that's happening around the world, with what happened with Charlie Kirk the other day. Rest in peace. There's no room for violence. We're allowed to share our views. We're allowed to have different opinions. If I wanted to know about their protests, I would call them and say, hey, look, what are you guys about? Why are you here? What is the message you're trying to send, before saying a comment to them or bringing a rally? Like, this is calling us fascists, Nazis. I mean, my father's Jewish. How am I a Nazi? How?
So, I mean, you're talking about the impact of what you believe is mass immigration in Canada.
It is mass immigration, not what I believe.
So, have you experienced anything personally? Like, can you tell me about your personal journey and how it's affected you?
Well, that's a stupid question, by the way. That's a stupid question. And the way she phrased it, good on you, Joe, for your response. It's not what I feel is mass immigration. It is mass immigration. Let's continue.
I can tell you, as I said to you, the strains on our systems, our resources. You can also see our heritage and our history being erased. We have Sir John A. Macdonald boxed up and torn down. We have our anthem changed. We have our passport changed. Our history is being erased here. The Canadian heritage, and the left likes to make us feel guilty for our heritage. If you look around the world, and if you guys know anything about history, every country has blood on their hands. Every country, not just Canada, not just the United States, every country. So our duty is to uphold our history, protect our culture and identity. This is why we're here today.
What would make this event a success in your mind?
Honestly, us being safe. I want us to remain safe and for us to deliver our message in the most respectful, classy manner. That's why we're here. I made this very clear that anyone in our movement will have a Canadian flag with them. You will not wear a mask. You will show your face and stand behind what you believe in. I want to also say shout out to Tommy Robinson out in United Kingdom for uniting an absolute beautiful historic country. Over 1 million people in London right now. So Tommy, you see this? I salute you, my friend.
Well said, Joe. Puck Daddy, I think he goes by on Instagram or X. How come there were less than 200 people there? My numbers from the inside people I spoke to this weekend, there was 200 Antifas there. And they outnumbered us 2-1. You don't care enough? Why is it that the UK can get over 1 million and some estimates had it as high as 3 million, even though the left-wing corporate media over there in the UK said 110,000, which is laughable. You've seen the aerial shots, I'm sure, drone shots. What is it about Canada that a rally to pretty much save our country from immigration, from this invasion, because that's what it is, let's be honest, can be outnumbered by a bunch of real fascists? You guys know who Jesse Kelly is? He's got a huge podcast. Listen to what he says here.
Bolsheviks didn't just open up the prisons and let all the murderers and rapists out. That was step one. Step two was they then installed judges. They created a judicial system that offered protection to the street animals so they could continue to rape and murder and steal from people, thus creating more instability and helping them consolidate power. Democrats are not soft on crime. Democrats are not soft on crime. Democrats are not soft on crime. Stop using that word.
Okay, that phrase, actually. He's right. And you can replace Democrats with liberals in Canada. Let's continue.
That term. They are pro-rape. They are pro-murder. When some monster they let out of prison goes on to do something else monstrous, none of them are sitting around saying, whoa, I can't believe it. What a shock. I thought he'd turned his life around. It turns out he was going to get arrested a 15th time. They turn him loose because they know the animal's going to go do animal things. They know the rabid dog is going to bite again. That's why they turn him loose onto your street, onto your bus, your sidewalk, standing out in front of your home. Democrats put these people into your area as fast as they possibly can because they want people murdered and robbed and raped. It is hard for normal people with good hearts and a value system of any kind to understand the level of evil and depravity of the communist. This is something every society has struggled with. Every society that has come up against the communist revolution, the thing that holds them back the most is trying to understand what they don't mean to do that, right? It's wild when you read about it. Everywhere it took place. Hold on, they're not doing that on purpose, right? Well, they would never do this, right? Yes, they will. And yes, they do. Once again, I'm pleading before we continue. I'm begging. Stop saying soft on crime. That's not what you're dealing with here. You're not dealing with naivete. You're dealing with evil. Accept it.
So we look on all of this that's happening. You know, I read the comments, not just on the show, but on other things that I post on social media, on all of the platforms. I try my best anyway. And I ran across one yesterday, maybe Saturday. That can't be true. It was a pretty mild headline under the post. I forget what it was. That can't be true. My honest response was, how is it that you cannot believe your own eyes? You see something that has been vetted. And if you don't believe the one thing, go and check 2 other sources. Go and see. I can't believe that they would do that. Are you still saying that to yourself occasionally? Does that still happen inside? Is that one of your first instincts? When you see something horrific and you know that probably one of the left-wing / Marxist political parties is behind it, I can't believe they would do that. What you're saying is actually, you would never do that. You would, because you're imposing your own values. You're projecting your own values onto another. Please believe me when I tell you that these people, like dude just said there, they don't have the same values that you have. I'm not sure if they have any, as a matter of fact. And that's why we're always so aghast. And they can lie so easily. It's like breathing to them. First day back in Parliament in Ottawa today. There was some of the regular protesters out in front of Parliament Hill on Wellington Street. Police were in attendance. A lot of protesters came out. And it looked like a psyop. A couple of guys that nobody knew out there with hockey sticks. There were arrests made. Dacey was out there. Right Blend was out there. Jim Kerr, our friend, was out there. And here's a little bit of what happened.
Here, Right Blend and I tried to ask a few questions, and then things went pretty off the rails pretty quickly. What do you have to say?
There was one sole person holding a hockey stick who took a very aggressive tone and was using language that does not represent any of us. None of us believe in hate. That's not our thing.
I saw the video. How did you see the video?
It's already out?
Yeah, it's already out. You're laughing? You're laughing at the anti-Semitic shit?
That doesn't go on at these rallies, okay? He doesn't go on these freedom rallies.
Oh,
none
is that
of
right?
it. Yeah, none of it.
Okay.
None of it.
All right.
Okay, now you put us all under that.
I can see you're laughing. Do you condemn political violence at Christie Place? Reckless language. What about the Canadian network? Jewish Pinocchio. What did you say? I called you a Jewish Pinocchio. Yeah, that's right. I'm making anti-Semitic. That's right. That's right. Goddamn right. I'm an anti-Semite. Are you? Yeah, you're goddamn right, and I'm proud of it. You know what? You know what? Semites are not even Jewish. Do you know your anthropology or not?
I can tell you there's no room for anti-Semitism in this country. You need to do that.
As a Muslim,
Yeah.
what's happening right now in the Middle East on behalf of Israel? What's happening right now on behalf of Israel in your country? In your country.
My country.
No, it's not. It's our country. I'm sick and tired of hearing your bullshit. Let's go, sir. Let's go.
Here's the two guys leaving, completely alone, not leaving with anyone, walking away by themselves. I've asked everyone here, not a single person knows who these two individuals are. This is not what any of the people here that I know are about.
Okay, so that was the Liberal safety minister who got into an argument with those guys that nobody knew. Generally speaking, the Liberals never stop to talk to any of the independent reporters outside of the House of Commons. Never. But this guy who didn't know anything at all about gun legislation in this country at all, he may have brushed up on it in the following weeks after the embarrassment that he put himself through a few months ago, but he stops suddenly to get into an argument and call somebody an anti-Semite? What? Those guys were plants. Those guys with the flag on the hockey stick, they were plants. They were plants, CSIS plants, whoever, parliamentary police plants, liberal plants. They were plants. That's a psyop. It's a teeny one, but that's a psyop. Conservative MPs don't even usually bother to stop and talk to these guys for whatever reason, and they should. They've got their own team of media all across YouTube, but they should stop and talk to these guys. They don't understand. The Conservative Party just doesn't quite get the following that people like Dacey have, and Right Bland, and me even, for that matter. They don't get it. They don't think people are going to see this stuff. So the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, you guys know who they are. They're the ones who were encouraging Antifa to show up at the Canada First rally in Toronto this past weekend. And they were using some Antifa language to do it. They're funded by the government. They are funded by the government of Canada. They're an Antifa organization, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, and they are funded by our government. They should be listed as a terrorist organization, but instead they get our tax dollars to keep them afloat. So when Right Blend was trying to talk to some conservative MPs as they were on their way into the House of Commons this morning, this is the response they got, or he got. Go ahead, watch.
Ms. Lanceman, there was violence yesterday, or the day before, at Christie Pitts. Do you support funding the Canadian Anti-Hate Network in the wake of reckless language that they used?
I've never supported the anti-hate.
Thank you for saying that. Hey, Michelle, do you support defunding the Canadian Anti-Hate Network? Hey, Ms. doesn't support them. Miss Michelle, what's your position on the Anti-Hate Network? Michelle, what's your position on the Anti-Hate Network and the violence that happened at Christie Pitts?
I'm heading into the House of Commons to debate immigration now. If you guys
Okay, but simple question. Do you support defunding the Canadian Anti-Hate Network?
Pardon me?
Do you support defunding the Canadian Anti-Hate Network? Melissa Lanceman already said she's never supported them, so you might be safer to answer that.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to do some more research.
Okay, I really hope you do. They've used some pretty inflammatory language.
they're funded to the tune of over $1 million.
Well, about just under $1 million.
And they write hit pieces about everyday Canadians.
Anyone they call right wing.
Inflammatory rhetoric.
Well, in the lead up to Christie Pitts, I know this is a long-winded, just a little bit of background. In the lead up to the violence at Christie Pitts, Right Blend. Yes. So
where are you out of?
Here in Ottawa, but just as some background, essential for an answer, a fair one. In the lead up to Christie Pitts, they made a post on their social media that ended with some Antifa mottos and Antifa's associated. Janice, quick question. Miss Lanceman already answered it. It's a simple question, sir. Do you support defunding the Canadian Anti-Hate Network? Do you support defunding them? Mr. Brock, do you condemn violence at Christie Pitts?
I don't know much about.
Okay, so this is the one reasonable response. Larry Brock, I always thought he was one of the good ones. I guess Melissa Lanceman gave him an answer too, but this is probably the best one.
Well,
read about it.
Sure. Well, basically what happened was there was a so-called anti-fascist protest in the lead up. A publicly funded organization called the Canadian Anti-Hate Network made a post with irresponsible language in the fallout of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And let's just say that there was calls for death of police officers and violence against Canada First immigration protesters. So that's
against all forms of violence.
All right.
I'm going to research this, and if you're around, maybe we'll have a conversation.
Condemn all forms of violence. Who is doing the violence? See, that's something that we have to be able to carve through here. We know, and we can go back to the trucker convoy, we didn't do any violence there. It was from them. At any rally that I have attended where Antifa has shown up, they are the ones who are beginning the violence. It happens every single time. The police know this. If they don't, they shouldn't be on the force in whatever city they're working in. Because those people show up at every single rally for every single thing all the time. Most of the common sense people, they don't. They go only when it's really important, which is a shame. I'm not saying that we, except for maybe a couple dozen, depending on the city you're in. But we need to show up way more, en masse. It's so important that we do this. I understand the need for organization. I get it. And I understand, the suspicion that people will feel inside when they see a poster that goes up, show up here at this time on this day. For what? Why? Why am I doing that? I get that. And it's rightly that you do that. It's justified. The people organizing these kinds of things, they need to be willing to put their names out there. That's just the way it is. Speaking of an epidemic of cowardice, what I see a lot on social media is somebody named John Freedom. Now, this is not a shot at Dave Freedom, who actually changed his last name to Freedom. That's his real legal last name now. But I see this a lot. And a picture of a lion or something, or a cat, whatever. And to me, that is a sign of cowardice. You put your face out there. You put it out there. To show that you are a real person with a real stake in this game. And when I say this game, I'm talking about our country and our way of life. Look what the government's doing. Proposed anti-hate legislation. Their side, the liberal side, the NDP side, the Marxist side, as I have been saying for the entire show tonight, are the ones who create the hate and the violence. And now the liberals want anti-hate legislation. Could help the police in cloudy areas. You know how they're going to use that legislation if they pass it? It'll be against the peaceful Canadians, like us. So you go to this vigil for Charlie Kirk tomorrow night in Winnipeg. Again, this is going to be at the legislative grounds starting at 7:30. They say bring a sign, bring a candle. Please make the sign respectful, not inflammatory. If something breaks out there and one of the peace-loving Christians or common sense thinkers gets into an altercation of some kind, you can bet that we'll be the ones by the left-wing corporate media who get blamed. Why do you think I ask you to share this show? So that we can go up against the left-wing corporate media, at least on an even playing field. Right now, they outgun me personally 10-1. They've got their viewership, their television viewership, plus their online presence. So I get 20,000 views on one show, that doesn't matter. They get 200,000. Why do you think there are so many brainwashed people in this country? Because we're not doing what we need to do to spread the word, to get the word out, to make people think. Think. Day one of the House of Commons fall session, and here's a highlight.
Mr. Speaker, this government has been absolutely focused on improving affordability for Canadians. That's why the largest tax cut, 22 million Canadians, every taxpayer in this country. That's why the cut to the GST. That's why the launch of Build Canada Homes, which will reduce the cost of home building in this country. That's why we back the CRTC to get broadband costs down for Canadians. We are building the strongest economy throughout the worst crisis in our history.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
In the spirit of nonpartisanship, we are simply going to hold this Prime Minister to his own promises.
Now, hold on just a second. Remember what he just said there. He said the worst crisis in our history. Okay. Hold him to that.
Promised that he would spend less. He's already spending 8% more. He promised the budget would be in October. Now he says it will be in November, more than halfway through the fiscal year. He promised that his government would have a smaller deficit than Justin Trudeau. Instead, now we hear that it might even be double. So a trivia question. Can the Prime Minister tell us, has there ever been a Prime Minister who has successfully doubled the deficit without even introducing a budget?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
It's a trick question.
Mr. Speaker, this government is undertaking the biggest investment in protecting Canadians in the Canadian military. Doubling our investment in the Canadian military from last year when this member last sat in the House by the end of this decade. This government, there's more.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
There's a lot more debt is what there is, Mr. Speaker. A lot more debt than we ever imagined would be possible. This is a Prime Minister who said we'd have the fastest growing economy in the G7. We have the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. He said grocery prices would go down. They're going up faster than ever before. He promised to create jobs. He has the second highest unemployment in the G7. He's really reminding us all of that sign at the bar, free beer tomorrow. But you come back the next day and the beer is still not free, and tomorrow never comes. Mr. Speaker, why is it that all of this Prime Minister's promises of yesterday turn into today's disappointments?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think if we are going to build the strongest economy in the G7, and we will, we need to be clear. We need to be clear about the scale of the crisis we are in. We need to be clear about the scale of investment that we need. $60 billion in new projects announced last week.
Crisis. Keep watching.
$200 billion in investment announced last week. $100 billion in housing investment announced just yesterday. That's the scale of what we need.
The Honourable Member for Belley-Champlain. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was elected saying that he would be the best to face the tariff crisis and the trade war. Almost 4 months have gone by, and Canada is not coming out on top. At best, we can say that it hasn't been a success. Can he commit now to put an end to tariffs and an end of a trade war agreement with the United States, his true priority? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the current situation is this. We have the best deal with the U.S.
Hold on. The worst crisis we've ever seen. Crisis. And now what?
Worldwide, right now, we're talking about more than 85%. 85% is enormous of our exports are covered under free trade with the U.S. We have the lowest tariff in the world right now. That is a success. The Canada-U.S. relationship is good.
Crisis. Nah, not really. People fell for that. They're still falling for it. There's a poll that came out last week that says 60% of Canadians are satisfied with the Carney government. Now it's slightly down from a couple of months ago when it was 63%. But still 60%, 60% of people trust this guy. They're happy with him. Even though he just announced that the deficit with no budget will top $61.9 billion. And he's unveiled a new housing bureaucracy. And he included modular houses, which Brookfield Asset Management is heavily invested in. The Americans have threatened action against foreigners, praising the Charlie Kirk killing. So if you know any Canadians who have done it, and there's all kinds of websites out there that are publishing names and faces and workplaces of these demons, go ahead and look one up. I think one's charliesmurderers.com. There's a whole bunch of other ones. You can find them easily on any social media. You don't have to look very hard either. So if you know somebody like that, go ahead and send that person's profile to one of those sites, and they'll make sure that they get it out there. And they won't be going to the United States anytime soon if they pass this. U.S. threatens action against foreigners, praising Charlie Kirk killing. Wow. I wonder if they can even do that legally. Now, when I said psyop at the beginning of this show, I meant it. These people out there, I don't disagree that some of these people, maybe last week, a couple of days after Charlie's assassination, they were genuinely expressing their pleasure online that he was dead. But are they still doing it even now, even with the blowback? I think what we've got in order to sow division, make people so horrified, I think what we've got are a lot of people being paid to do this. I think this guy's one of them.
Did you guys see that? That activist in America, Charlie Kirk, he got shot. Did you see that? That guy loves gun violence and he got shot. Did you see that?
I don't believe that this guy is like, look at him. Does he fit the profile? No. Look at what's behind him. It looks like a decent sized house in a decent neighborhood, decently decorated. There's no weirdness behind him. Maybe that lava lamp. That's what that is. I think this guy's an actor.
Oh man, Charlie Kirk. You know, to the Charlie Kirk family, Did you see all that blood that came out of his body? It was like, whoa. To every Zionist, every Christian Zionist, may you be just like that shop, the Target. All his followers, just like the shop, the Target. I'm not saying that violence isn't the way, so don't misconstrue my words, okay? Did you see all that blood? That dude's dead. There is a fucking God.
I think he's an actor. Even if he is, that's still really terrible. So these people are being hired by whoever, whatever black money, whatever dark money's coming in to sow this division, right? So they say, well, here we need you to act as maniacal and crazy as you possibly can. Think of the Joker. You know? Like whose version of the Joker was the best? What's his name? From The Dark Knight. I forget his name. Heath Ledger. I think he was good. But maybe come up with your own version of the Joker. And I think that's what this guy is doing. Yeah, it's demented to say those things, whether you're an actor or not. But that's what I think is going on here. So, Psyop, yes. They want us divided in every way. Okay, so you got black versus white. Well, white versus everybody these days. You know, gay versus straight. Secular versus non-secular. You name it. I mean, they've got so many cuts in this pie that it's very difficult to keep track of these days. And they want us at war. So we don't see what it is they're doing. What it is they're doing, according to Catherine Austin Fitz, and I put this on Friday night, I think it was, is rolling out that digital stuff, right? Even in Alberta right now, they're adding certain things to the Alberta driver's license. Now, I didn't get a chance to read that whole story in detail today. I do know they're adding Canadian citizenship to the Alberta driver's license right now. I thought that was kind of weird. And of course, you will have the option at this point, whether or not you want that ID to be digital or not. Got to keep up with the times. You guys know Tyla Biggs. She is she's a blogger or vlogger, I guess. And she's one of these girls who's curious. She needs to know. Right? So she heard about Charlie Kirk, but she didn't really know much about him. So she went and dug rather than listening to one of the narratives coming from either side. And this is what she found.
Sit your ass down for this, because the only thing I hate more than repeating myself is people not coming with receipts. You have access to the internet right now. You already know about everything that happened with Charlie Kirk, and you've probably seen the same repetitive comments over and over and over.
I know she talks fast. No complaining.
From people, quotes that he would say during his debates. Now, I'm somebody that has seen only a few of his videos over the last however many years that he's been doing this. So seeing these quotes, I was like, wow, did he actually say that? That's kind of shocking. But the thing about me is I am so indecisive that I will research the piss out of something before picking a side. So what did I do? I did exactly that. I found these quotes and I said, let me go watch the entire source that those are pulled from to know the context of them. Because also, if you have any access to the internet, you know how easily it is to be taken out of context. Hell, even the Bible is cherry-picked and taken out of context for certain things. If you're one of those people that likes to just run with the headliner, take exactly what somebody says, copy-paste it from the comment section onto a whole nother video, I'm here to help you out so you don't look stupid in the comment section. First one up is the Second Amendment quote that I'm sure you've seen under every single Charlie Kirk post that has been put out on the internet to date. People are justifying his murder because he said, some gun deaths every single year are worth the cost. Yeah, I have to admit, that does sound like a pretty shocking quote initially, but that's the headliner. Obviously, people want to rage bait you. Stop getting pulled into it like an idiot. You read the headliner and immediately get rage baited, you're a sheep. If you decided to scroll down and read the entire story of that quote that it's pulled from, you will see a whole lot more to it. And on top of that, to just make sure I have the full picture, not just the little snippet that the news article chose to show, I went and watched the entire 2-hour-long video where that quote is from. He starts it out by talking about how the Second Amendment is not strictly about self-defense hunting or having our fun gun. It is to protect ourselves from our government turning tyrannical. If you believe that this country is incapable of that happening, you are living in a utopian fantasy. Him saying that it's a price to pay is not about children dying. There are 50,000 car-related deaths every single year. That's the price for having cars. You want to get rid of cars and save 50,000 lives each year? Great. There's a cost to that though. In exchange for those 50,000 lives saved, you now don't have mobility to get anywhere. You don't have the access to products and services that you might want on the day-to-day basis. DoorDash, forget it. You want to go to a restaurant that's 20 minutes away in a car? See you in a few days. Okay, maybe it's not a few days. Therefore, we have decided that those 50,000 lives are a necessary cost to having those things. And not only does he provide that comparison and explanation, he provides a solution for this. He says that there can be a realistic reduction to gun violence. Any shootings at Major League sporting events? There was one in 1984 before there was armed security at the events. There was also one in late 2023. Guess what? That was from the outside of the stadium. How have any shootings been stopped at airports? There was one in December of 2024 outside of the security checkpoint. There was also one in 2017 where there was a very clear and unfortunate lapse in security for that event. That's what led to there being a mass shooting at that airport. Aside from that one instance, unless I'm missing some, I'm not perfect. I've only seen other instances from outside of the airport or outside of security. The way that he ends that quote is saying, if our money, sporting events, and airports can have armed guards, why don't our children? By not having armed guards to protect our children from any potential risk, that is when you are choosing to sacrifice them for our right to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government, not by refusing to give up our guns. And just to be clear, I'm always open for discussion of different opinions. What I won't be doing is arguing with the emotion and arguing with people that don't do their own research and formulate their own thoughts. So if you want to come into my comments, copy and pasting the exact same things as you are on every other post, all I will say to you is, thank you for the engagement.
Interesting. Tyla Biggs, you can follow her on TikTok, but I'll bet you won't. However, you could write down her name if you have a young person in your life and say, hey, have you ever thought about maybe following this person? She makes a lot of sense because she does research, so you don't have to. You should anyway. All right, so one more thing before we move to and I'm going to stay on a little longer tonight. I hope you guys don't mind. The Liberals blocked a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk in Parliament today. Liberals reportedly shut down a Conservative push for a unanimous resolution condemning political violence and a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk in the House of Commons today. Liberals said no. Couldn't even see their way clear. Giving a moment of silence, a little bit of respect to the worthy opponent who was gunned down in cold blood in front of millions of people last week. That shows you how petty they are. And again, tomorrow night in Winnipeg, there's going to be a candlelight vigil in honor of Charlie Kirk at the legislature starting at 7:30. I'm going to be there, you guys, so I'm not going to be doing the show live. I will try to bring you some live video from there, and hopefully it goes smooth. I'm not interested in going toe-to-toe with any Antifas. I mean, I will if I have to, but I'd rather not. What else? Oh, right. Okay, so the big Unite the Kingdom rally in the UK this past weekend. Tommy Robinson put this one on, anywhere between 1 and 3 million people. Here's Tommy Robinson in conversation with Elon Musk.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
This is live during the rally, by the way.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Tommy, on putting together an amazing event and really rallying the people of Britain.
Elon, none of this could have happened without you giving the British public access to the truth and giving us free speech and fighting for our free speech. So on behalf of Great Britain and the British public, we're incredibly grateful, Elon.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, and you may notice this T-shirt that I'm wearing. It's great British author George Orwell. What would Orwell think? I think that's generally a good way to look at these things. He would want freedom of speech. He would want the people to know what's real. He'd want the people to fight against government oppression and fight for the truth and fight for the future of Britain.
Elon, we are incredibly grateful for your time. We know what a busy man you are. Why is it important for you to be here today speaking at this Unite the Kingdom event?
Well, I am of primarily British heritage, British ancestry. I want Britain to be greater than it ever has been. I want Britain to remain Britain. I think there's something beautiful about being British. And what I see happening is a destruction of Britain. Initially a slow erosion, but a rapidly increasing erosion of Britain with massive uncontrolled migration, a failure by the government to protect innocent people, including children who are getting gang raped. It's unreal. The government has failed in its duty to protect its citizens, which is a fundamental duty of government. This has got to stop. There needs to be massive government reform in Britain. And the people need to be in charge, not some bureaucracy that doesn't care.
Okay, so that goes on for another 5 minutes. We're not going to spend the entire night watching those two, but you can find that video. It's all over X. It's all over, not YouTube. It's on Rumble. And you might even be able to find it on Instagram or Facebook these days. I know, sounds weird, but yeah, go ahead and have a look. Katie Hopkins, you guys know she's one of my favorites. She spoke to the crowd at the Unite the Kingdom rally as well.
Tried to silence us. They took my friend Tommy and they put him in prison. They took my friend Charlie and they shot him. They tried to take my children and they deported my ass from Australia. And I say fuck the Australians for that. But it doesn't matter. They can put us in prison. They can shoot us. They can lock us up, but they will not stop us now. Because we are not here because we hate. We are not here because we want bad things for other people. We are here because we grew up knowing freedoms, and we will get those freedoms back for our kids and our grandchildren. Yes, we will.
I just wonder, again, what it's going to take to get Canadians off their asses. UK, over 1 million, maybe 3 million. Nobody knows for sure. Left-wing corporate media says 110,000. Bigger.
No, those aren't the real pictures. Those pictures online, they came from like a soccer match 5 years ago. See how everybody's wearing the same color?
No. And maybe some of them were. But there is genuine. Eva Vanderkluken was there as well, speaking to the crowd. I think she may be the next big one. I don't think anybody is going to replace Charlie Kirk. I think it's probably going to be a bunch of people. I don't know. But we need all of us. It's not just about a person, even though Charlie was incredibly important to the movement. He's like a five-tool player in baseball. Because Charlie was a great communicator. He was a man of God. Also a great organizer. Inspirational. Guys like him don't grow on trees. And young. Imagine what he would have become. He died at 31. Alex Armstrong is a reporter and news broadcaster for GB News, and he was at the Unite the Kingdom rally this past weekend. Just like here, the left-wing corporate media over there was trying to say that there were people there causing problems and fights and, you know, of course, right-wing extremists and all that. So here's Alex's take on it.
In the hall part of London today, where Tommy Robinson's free speech rally is well underway. They've shut down this entire central part of London here, right by Waterloo train station. There are thousands of people here. You can see flags from across the country. You've got the Welsh flag. St. George's Cross is very prominent today, the Union Jack. Of course, for the first time I'm seeing American flags here, and flags depicting Charlie Kirk, of course the assassinated right-wing conservative activist in America. I've been out and about here today talking to ordinary people about why they're here, what they hope to achieve by being here, and what they think the big issues facing the country are.
Look at that sea of flags. That shot simply just doesn't do justice to the sheer scale of attendance. I know some figures have quoted 100,000, 110,000, but it was definitely far beyond that. I would say hundreds of thousands of people, maybe more to come.
What's brought me here today? The state of our country being run into the ground by these lefties. You know? I mean, just take a look around you. The people of Great Britain are here. United, we are. Far right? No, we are right. Both our borders. Start reporting and put our people first.
You know what really surprised me was the sheer volume of young people attending this event.
I believe that we should, as the taxpayer, we should spend our money sensibly. We should not be giving it to people who haven't earned anything. But why should people dock up and get more than your average person who has paid into the system? It's just not fair. It's not fair. And I believe, you know, and I'll just take this time right now to say rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, and may God be with him, because he is a lovely man.
Yes, many people pointed to their patriotism as their reason for being there, and a sense that free speech is under attack.
They're wrong. This is not far right. We've got women here, children here, grandparents, like I said earlier, all colours, races and creeds. Everybody's here standing up for the United Kingdom. Everybody's united together. And the bottom line, if they want to call us far right, fine, we're all far right. I think you could then classify the entire nation as far right. This is working class people, elderly, young. We've got kids around here. They're all enjoying themselves, all having fun.
Pro-Gaza rallies, of course, have sparked major anti-Semitism concerns amongst Brits, many of whom attended the Unite the Kingdom event.
I think it starts with anti-Semitism. To not deal with this, they always put the Saturday first and then Sunday.
I never saw a single act of violence, anything that led me to believe these people were in any way so-called fascists, far right, or indeed any other slurs thrown at these protesters by many in the media and the left.
You guys have heard me say this for years now, right? Like, the left-wing corporate media plays the word games. They don't bother defining the words they use or explaining. They just start using a word or a phrase, and they keep using it. Far right, far right. So what image do you conjure when you think of far right? To me, like, far right used to mean skinheads, like back in the 80s. You know the guys I'm talking about, right? Or the KKK. And that's how they're depicting us today, without apology. And they do it over and over and over and over. Now, you want to talk about fascism? All right, fine. Let's talk about fascism for a second here. You know who the fascists are? I mean, you know who they are. But how do you identify the real ones? They're the ones who control the media. They're the ones who control the means of communication. They're the ones who control the news. They're the ones who control the little street gangs. Those who are the fascists. You guys know Carla Treadway? She's been on the show once. It was a while ago. We should probably get her back on. She has a good following on Instagram, and she makes a lot of good videos, and she does some good interviews as well. She's out in BC. Here's a quick 2-minute thing of what she said regarding media a couple of days ago.
I want to be really clear about something. An individual
just killed a man, and a sick individual just killed a person, but there's someone else responsible, and that is mainstream media. For the last 5 years, mainstream left-leaning media has relentlessly, every single day, dehumanized anyone that has a different ideology than them. It started during COVID. That was the first time that I've ever seen political discourse take this turn, and people are actually wishing death upon the unvaccinated. We had the Prime Minister going on TV and saying, how long will we tolerate people? And then what do you think happens when every single day your politicians and the legacy media goes on air saying that these people are dangerous, they're fascists, they're far-right extremists, they're white supremacists, they're literal Nazis? What do you think happens when you have a mentally unwell population already that's driven to poverty? And then they hear this again and again, all day, every day, never just the right, never just conservatives, never just someone with a different opinion, literal Hitler. What do you think happens? Violence. Mainstream media, you have blood on your hands. And if you have been participating in these narratives, dehumanizing other people, just have a different opinion than you, you also have blood on your hands. These are not just words. You are causing violence.
People stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
The people who are dangerous, they're the ones that are shutting down this kind of discourse. They're the ones that are dehumanizing other people. And they didn't stop for 10 seconds when this man died. They doubled down on it. That tells you everything that you need to know.
It's not just that, Carla. The worst thing is, then they turn around and gaslight and say that we're the ones who do it to them. It's amazing to me. I don't believe that I have ever once tried to jam down anybody's throat what to believe. I've strongly voiced opinions. That's different. I never told anybody they have to believe as I do, or else. And if you don't, you're a fascist. And that's what they do. So it's not just about calling us extremists or far right. It's about making us in any way, shape, or form bend to their will. And that, my friends, is fascism. And if you don't bend to their will, you will pay the price. We're building a super gulag somewhere in the Northwest Territories with your name on it. Think about that. Because that's what they want, in my humble opinion. You guys know Ron Scott. He's an American senator, businessman. I think he's Wisconsin. Republican senator, obviously. You guys know the name Jake Scott. Let me throw Jake Scott. Jake Scott is a doctor. He's a scientist. He's with Stanford, clinical associate professor of medicine of infectious diseases. Last week, Jake Scott, a clinical associate professor of medicine and infectious diseases at Stanford, got bitch slapped by an American businessman and senator, Ron Scott, in Congress. Watch this.
How much do you know about the mRNA technology?
A fair amount.
So is the mRNA that's encapsulating the lipid nanoparticle, is that true mRNA?
Is that true mRNA?
I mean, true mRNA, your messenger RNA, degrades very rapidly in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Correct.
So the mRNA in the injection, is it true mRNA? Does it degrade rapidly in the body? Do you not know?
I do know. Yes, it does, but
it does. No, it does not. It's modified. It's modified mRNA.
Okay, I'm sorry I have to interrupt. The guy behind the senator here, he kind of reminds me of Beaker from the Muppet Show. I'm sorry, let's
It's
continue.
designed not to degrade, and there are studies that show it sticks around the body. We don't know how long. The lipid nanoparticle, do you realize that it was designed to permeate difficult to permeate barriers, like the blood-brain, like the placenta barrier? Did you know that? Did you believe when Fauci told us that the mRNA shot would stay in the arm? Did you believe that? It's a simple yes or no. I mean, did you believe, do you believe the COVID injection stayed in everybody's arm? Do you believe that's what happened?
Primarily.
You think so, huh? Were you aware of the Japanese FOIA of the study that was conducted at biodistribution where in rats it biodistributed all over the body, accumulated in the adrenal glands, in the ovaries? Because the lipid nanoparticle is designed to permeate difficult to permeate barriers, they knew, the designers knew, and they did a study that would biodistribute all over the body, but our CDC, Anthony Fauci, said it was going to stick in the arm. Now, do you know what the mRNA does? It's not a traditional vaccine, is it? Do you realize that? It's not an attenuated or a dead virus. It's messenger RNA, modified RNA, this encapsulated in a lipid nanoparticle that distributes all over the body, and when it attaches to a cell, it unloads its mRNA into the cell and turns the cell into a manufacturing cell of a protein that is toxic to it. Do you realize that? Are you aware of that? I mean, just yes or no. I mean, do you know that or not? Because I talk to a lot of doctors who don't have a clue.
I know a fair amount about the mRNA vaccines. Do I know about all of these studies that you're referring to?
This isn't a study. This is the basic operation. Do you know how it works?
Isn't this amazing? This associate of clinical vaccinology is stymied by a businessman from Wisconsin. It's amazing to me. He doesn't know. He works at Stanford as a researcher on this stuff. He doesn't know. How many of them do?
It doesn't appear like you do.
Well,
so again, why would we have why would we have almost 1.7 million adverse events, dramatically understating it? Why would we have that number of deaths? It's because these little lipid nanoparticles are distributed all over the body. They're attaching to cells. They're turning cells like a heart cell into a manufacturing site for the spike protein, which is toxic, and the body attacks it. It causes inflammation. That's what myocarditis is. And the designers of the injection knew it. And Anthony Fauci knew it, and he lied. That's why somebody like Mr. Rogers, Dr. Rogers, gets so upset and is outraged by the cover-up of this. That's the problem here. I've got a lot more to say. Have you heard, do you know anything about, for example, the DNA contamination that's being reported? I want to enter into the record the McKernan study, just recently released, without objection. There's nobody to object. Again, have you heard about this? That there's DNA contamination in, particularly the Pfizer? You're aware of that?
Yes. And
do you know at what levels it exceeds the FDA recommended amounts?
No.
36 to 627 times. The allowed amount is 10 nanograms per dose. And this research paper shows it's 36 to 627 times higher than that.
Wow.
Does that concern you?
Yeah, if that's a legitimate finding, yes. That's not the information that I've been aware of.
No, but you know, it saves 3.2 million lives. No, it didn't. It's impossible.
Do you see why I ask you to share this? There's some people I saw in the comments. Yeah, I saw that, man. That's awesome. It's great. How many people out there are running to the pharmacy or wherever, their doctor's office, to get that 8th shot? Now, maybe it's too late for them. I don't know. But they need to hear that information so they can make up their minds. For real this time. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got for you guys tonight. Again, tomorrow, remember, no show. No show tomorrow night. I'm going to do a live stream from the candlelight vigil for Charlie Kirk. That's going to be at the Manitoba Legislature. I'm going to head down there. It starts at 7:30, probably wraps up an hour and a half later. Hopefully the weather stays good for it. And I'll be back live for another show on Wednesday night. Hoping to get Tiana on this week and maybe Greg Wycliffe as well. We can talk more about everything that's been going on. I know Tiana was having some emotional stuff going on this week, and I don't blame her. You know, we all get a lot of ugly shit thrown our way every day on Messenger and comments, and even in person. Sometimes it happens. I don't want to sound like a whiner, but it does happen. So yeah, it can shake you up if you let it. That's it for tonight, you guys. We have the extension coming up in just a second on shadowdavis.com for the All Access Nighthawks. I'll see you guys there in 2 minutes. Why aren't you one is my question. If you want to try out the extension tonight, you can go and become a member of the Shadow at Night community on Telegram. Again, I'll see you there in 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, because I've got a commercial to play. Shadow at Night live stream is brought to you by CanadaNanoSilver.com. I love you all, and I appreciate you all, and I'll see you again very soon. Good night now.
Silver is amazing. It has several natural health benefits, and it's been used for hundreds of years for health and healing. That's the main reason they made silverware from silver. But seriously, this nano silver from SilverCeuticals is the best and safest silver you can find. There are hundreds of studies and reports on it. I've read some of the studies myself, and it's mind-blowing. One of the things that sets SilverCeuticals apart is that it washes out of your body in 24 hours. No silver buildup and no turning blue. And it won't even harm the good bacteria your body needs. It's so effective they can use very small concentrations of silver, like 10 and 32 parts per million, and still outperform other silvers that have up to 3,000 parts per million. It's safer and more effective at the same time. It is an incredibly small particle that is small enough to work through your body, but big enough not to fall out of suspension. They infuse it into almost all of their products. It works in facial serums, toothpaste, gels, and even gummies that work to help your immune system.